uh, and it's AI learning from millions to past emails to decide what looks suspicious, right? Before jumping into the AI, and hi all, everybody who has joined to my channel, welcome back. So today we are basically drifting slightly away from the concept of the sorting. We are merge sort need to discuss about, but yes, we can talk about that. But today we are deviating from that particular topic and bringing some topics in line, just to refresh our minds and uh, talk about what is basically AI. So we were talking about that. It's basically an ability of a computer to understand the pattern and make decisions using data, right? The example is that when Gmail automatically puts some emails into the spam, so basically it's AI learning from millions of past mails to decide what looks suspicious, right? So AI is basically an API call that you can call like Google Maps or payment gateways, right? So APIs are application programming interface, right? Maybe if I get some time, I would try to make a video over that. Now, the examples, where the AI can be leveraged, some of the views that I have listed below is the customer support replies, email drafting, resume screening, chatbots, and code health, right? So today we will build a mini AI support agent in 10 lines of Python. It's already built actually. I would try to go through that. I would try to explain it in very simple terms, right? So you would have heard of many fancy terms like the model context protocol, which is the MCP, or the RAG, which is retrieval augmented generation, but not but today we are basically going to have a basic look AI, like and explain and understand it in very simple terms, right? So when we talk about AI, then there are some few important parts of that. First is a model, basically a brain trained on a massive text, right? So model is basically either a large language model or a small language model. An LLM or an SLM, maybe you would have those terms as well. Prompt is basically some things that you guys would have seen on ChatGPT, where you enter prompts to get some output. Let's say who is the current prime minister of India, or who is the current president of US. So you can get those replies from the prompt. uh, the response is basically the text that gets generated back, right? And then we talk about the APIs, which is the application programming interface, which is basically uh, to bridge a gap between your app and the AI, right? So basically we are integrating the model with your application, right? So that it works. So it doesn't think, it basically predicts. It also doesn't think. So artificial intelligence doesn't think, but it predicts the next best word, right? So see, the architecture is something like this, that basically the user invokes the Python code. So you can treat it like your app. The app will be calling up the APIs of the OpenAI, and the AI model, which is basically the part of the OpenAI. So let's say it's a GPT 4.1 or something else, that will give you a response, right? So in simple terms, the Python sends the text, the model processes it, and returns a human-like language. There is no magic, just probability, right? So let us quickly jump to the live coding demo, where we would see the some steps. So I have already done this step. The first and foremost important thing is that you have to do the Python. You have to use the Python installer, which is pip, in order to install the OpenAI. Once that is installed, then you need to have an OpenAPI key, right? Because to access the application programming interface of OpenAI, you need its API key. So let's say every vendor like Juniper, Cisco, Arista, Aruba, whatever vendors are there, they have their own API keys. Now you have to set that particular OpenAPI key. You can do that in a particular environment, and then we can write a, a sort of clean code, which we are going to talk about. I have put up a clean code over here. You can refer it. uh, I will highlight it for you, so that you can go through it, but I have put it on my idle as well. right? So basically that's a chatbot. The chatbot is generated through an OpenAI, and I believe people who are having basic to intermediate knowledge of Python also can build this particular uh, AI, the AI chatbot, and based on that, you can call the LLM or the SLM basically, and try to get the responses from there, right? So there is no machine language, no math, no training. It's just a function call that we are trying to do. We are calling an LLM, and then we are trying to get a response from them, right? So uh, there are some things uh, we have to keep in mind. The reality checks and what are the important safety nets that you should consider while using the AI. Basically, AI can be wrong. When I say wrong, it can hallucinate, and to hallucinate, we have to use something called as a RAG, which is basically called as a retrieval augmented generation, where you need to train your model with the data sets and basically train it a lot so that it does not gives you uh, answers that are imaginary in nature, I would say, right? uh, it will sometimes give you a kind of a reply when it sounds very confident, but on the same side it will be incorrect. So let's say if you give it a half baked context, let's say I have to go to Delhi. So now let's say maybe I am sitting in Rajasthan and I want to go to Delhi, but maybe it will assume something which is basically called as hallucination, that maybe I am sitting in Jammu and Kashmir and I want to go to Delhi, but that is not the case because I'm sitting in Rajasthan, right? And then based on that it would give a confident answer which would be incorrect, right? So it would give a complete path from Jammu and Kashmir to Delhi, which is not required. So basically that output is incorrect for me because I'm not sitting in Jammu and Kashmir, I'm sitting in Rajasthan, right? So that is just an example. um, See, the point over here is that you need to have good debugging skills, right, to make yourself efficient. Even if you are generating a Python script or an Ansible script, let's say a Terraform script, a JavaScript, which you are getting generated from the artificial intelligence large language or small language model, you need to be careful that the code that you are applying to your applications, or the code that you're applying, is properly thoroughly tested, because that is the important part that needs to be covered, right? And once that is covered, we can confidently say that uh, the code that we have utilized, or the code that we have used, has made us efficient, and we were able to successfully leverage the artificial intelligence, right? uh, Also, there are a few terms that we might see in the next upcoming videos, of course, along with the normal context that we are learning, which is basically our day-to-day coding. So we might see MCP, RAG, and LangChain, right? Which we talked about, the model context protocol, the retrieval augmented generation, and LangChain, which is basically one of the tools. Also, we will go through. Uh, we'll show you at the end of the video a sort of model, which you can go through. You can subscribe. I can tell you about that particular. We'll talk about that website, which you can visit, and you guys can try out those. You can try out that particular tool, and then have a look and feel about how basically artificial intelligence works, how it can be integrated with different vendors, and how the workflow gets executed, right? So basically AI will be your API, the prompt is going to be the power, and Python will be your glue, right? So uh, let's quickly jump to the AI code, right? We know which we were talking about. I have already created it, so I will be just explaining it to you, right? So this is the operating system library that we are importing. Below that, these are two uh, important modules that we have imported. The first one is to load the environment file, right? So basically in this environment file I have my open API key, which I have hidden, actually cannot be revealed in this particular video. And the second one is the most important part, which I just showed previously, that we need to import this library OpenAI, because I am currently using the model which belongs to the OpenAI, right? uh, but there are other sets of model, and maybe they are free or paid in nature, given the kind of billing or the charges the companies are charging. Maybe there are different kinds of model, like DALL-E is there, Anthropic is there, Gemini is there, ChatGPT is there, Copilot is there, so you can use them, right? So we are basically loading the env file or the environment file, where I have safely put up my uh, API key, and this is a validation check to basically make sure that the open API key, if it has been loaded, if it has been found, then we need to give the message that the API key has been loaded successfully. As otherwise, we need to check the env file, right? So it will create a open API client, right? And once it creates the open API client, then it will go to the main function, right? So main function, I think we have already talked about the functions, and how we write the main function, and you go through it, right? So basically the main program is like a chat loop, like where we print the AI assistant is ready, and if you want to exit, just type exit and quit. And this is a loop where we will be putting up the questions, and then we will be getting the AI response, right? So the user input, that is me, I will type a input, and then if the user input is lower, then exit assistant.by, right? So basically if I'm typing exit, it is going to exit out. And basically if I want the response, then I'm calling the function which I have written above, right? So it will go to the ask AI function, where the prompt will be used as an argument. So basically the prompt sends a user to the AI and returns the response context. So now I have put up a criteria over here. It's a very simple prompt logic, that if the prompt that I am going to enter is less than 40 words, then I will answer in one simple line. Otherwise, I am going to explain clearly in simple words, right? So final prompt will be the prompt that I will get from the large language model, and we are going to call the instruction, and the question sorry, the final prompt is will be sent to the AI. It will be like an instruction, and then the question, and along with the prompt. And then the open API is going to consume that particular content, which is basically your final prompt, and then it is going to generate a reply which will be returned to the main, and then you will be able to see the output, right? Whatever I am typing. Doing any further, just I wanted to show you that this is the env file where I have already kept up my open API key. Sorry, I cannot show it to you completely, because that is not allowed, right? So I'm just going to put it down, and now if I run it, I'm just going to click on run module. Okay, so we are waiting for the chatbot to come up. So I think we are still waiting. Yes, we are waiting for this. So let's wait once the chat comes up. Okay, so now it is saying that the API key has been loaded successfully, and then there is a warning which says that you seem to already have a custom key handler installer. I'll skip the installing tries customer handler, but this means multi-errors will not show full tracebacks. Okay, so we will try to fix this warning, but let's see, what is our chatbot saying. So basically our AI assistant is ready. Type exit to quit now. So just I'm going to say hi. Let's see what it replies. So chatbot is currently thinking, and the reply would be given by this GPT 4.1 mini, right? So that is the model that currently we are using for our chatbot, right? So what is AI? Can you explain it in very simple and meaningful terms? You can also use real examples. So now you can see that the reply was quicker. So it said, sure, AI stands for artificial intelligence. It means teaching the computers and machines to think and like humans do, so they can do the task by themselves. For example, when you talk to Siri or Google Assistant on your phone, that's AI helping you understand your speech and answer questions. Like so, you can see that I have given less than 40 and more than 40 commands, where it has given the answer in just a simple line. But when I used more than 40 words, it tried to, give a clear cut explanation in more than one line and tried to, make us understand. So, that's all for today. I think this was a quick session, and we will continue with the merge sort, which will be more or less our last sorting algorithm. And after that, we will again resume back to the AI, right? And yes, before, sorry, I just missed it out. Sorry, before uh, closing this session, uh, just wanted to show you the site. So yeah, this is the NA10 website, right? So basically, if I talk about the NAN model, so it is also carries an AI agent, and basically this AI agent is uh, can be controlled through a chat model, through the chat, which is basically opening up of a conversational workflow. And also you need to understand that there is a workflow written behind it, which is basically uh, uh, there is a workflow written behind it which is getting executed, right? So uh, okay, so uh, let me give a very small introduction about this, what we are looking at our screen, right? So when I talk about the AI agent, right, uh, so let me talk about the triggers, how the workflow starts. So let's begin from there. So right, when clicking and execute workflow, right, so I click on this, right, and I execute the workflow. It is basically a manual trigger. The workflow is used for testing. You click and the workflow runs. When the chat message received, the chat based triggers, right? So what I can do is I can open a chat over here, or maybe I can play it from here, right? So when I click on play, I can type it into the chat, right? Now let's say, hi, uh, what is the weather in New Delhi, right? So we are just learning very basics of that. Right now you can see that a session ID has been created, a message has been sent, what is the weather in Delhi. Now the AI is going to interpret that through its large language model or the small language model that it is utilizing, right? And then it is going to interpret that, right? So it will give a message that will get generated, what it is, how's the weather and how it is going to work like that. So these outputs will be giving, right? Okay, let me hide the chat. Now the second thing that you can see in the center of the screen is the AI agent. So basically this is the brain. So AI agent has a responsibility to observe, analyze, uh, understand, execute, and then deduce what output was given, right? So in this agent you can inside the AI agent you can see that there is a model that we are using, right? Let me bring it a bit up. Not sure how this goes, but I'll try to move this. I don't think it's currently working, but yes, it's now working, I guess. Yeah, see, as soon as I wrote hello, it said hello, how can I help you find recent news topics. So how it is doing that, it is basically connected to a large language model. So basically your AI agent is a brain, right? So it is connected to a GPT 4.x. Sorry, I'm not able to see that, right? So this is the one. And let me see if we can drag it. Yes, we can drag it, right? So it's again connected to an open AI model. Then it is connected to a memory. Basically memory is for remembering the context of the conversation that we are putting up, right? And basically on the right hand side you can see the tools, right? So basically these are the websites to which it is connected, like the latest news. If let's say I say, hi, please check from BBC is the temperature in New Delhi. So basically it is going to you know uh, uh, query the BBC news and get the output for myself. Also we can uh, do decoding in Python and basically instruct the AI agent, how to grasp the particular workflow that I have coded in a Python language, and then it is going to implement that from here. Maybe I will put into the code that, same thing that we did in our chatbot to, fetch some news from the BBC or the Verge or the Hacker News, and then, get those output from me, right? To save your workflows, you can click on the save. To publish your workflows, you can click on publish, and the workflow is going to get published. You can also save this in your Git or GitHubs. If you want, you can upgrade it as well, right? So basically this agent can fetch real news. It can do a RAG like behavior, and that will help the AI to not hallucinate, right? So basically what it is, this workflow is allowing a custom logic. It is allowing a data cleaning, a ranking news, a summarization, filtering duplicates, and scoring articles, right? So this is something that it is trying to do. And it stores the past conversations. It follows up questions, context awareness, and personalization. Uh, so basically, if I talk about the full workflow, the user sends a chat message, AI receives the query, the agent decides, do I need the news or do I need a Python logic? Then agent fetches the data from BBC, Verge, or Hacker News. The Python would process it. The agent responds in the chat, and memory stores the context. Right? So see, this kind of AI is basically not a generative AI, or I won't say that it's partially a conversational AI, because there is a chat model through which you are conversating, but it is more like an agentic AI, right? Or I would say a RAG style system, or an event driven workflow, which is basically we are automating something over here, right? We are trying to get the news from any of these three news channels over here, and we are trying to get it in the best way possible, right? So um, the site which we were talking about, the Na10, is an open source workflow automation platform that lets you orchestrate the API's business logic and AI agents, right, visually. And it basically enables the event driven tool using memory aware AI systems, right? So that's all for today from my side, and I think and I hope that this has been a very informative session, and I thank you. Thanks guys.